In March, Wrisk suffered a complete ACL tear in her right knee.
You go down with an ACL injury. What is your first immediate thought in that moment?
Holy fuck. I literally just remember grabbing the turf and being like, God, why? Like, why did this just happen? You know, in my 5th year, like, my teammate on the restraining line 30 yards away from me heard my knee pop. On the sideline, you know, they were sizing me. My trainer told me, yeah, I think it's your ACL. And my coach was like, hey, like, I'm really sorry. If you want, like, we can fight for, like, an extra year for, like, your medical red shirt. And I looked at her and I go, oh, no, like, I'm not doing that. I'm bracing up and I'm playing. Like, that is my only option. If I truly cannot tear it again, then why not, you know, dive for a goal or dive for a ball or, like, just put my body on the line.
Today's guest is the definition of tough, talented, and completely unbreakable. A 2-time national champion, the kind of athlete who plays through a completely torn ACL in the Natty, scores 2 goals, and wins. She grew up in the lacrosse hotbed of Maryland, dominated as a multi-sport athlete, earned her spot on a D1 powerhouse at Maryland, and then made the bold decision to transfer to the University of Tampa, where she helped to fundamentally redefine one of the most electric programs in the country. From barking on the sidelines to dancing at halftime to leading her team on and off the field, she's the kind of player who sets the tone and changes the culture. This is far more than a story about women's lacrosse. It's a story about grit, about sacrifice, about refusing to let an injury, a label, or a limitation define your legacy. So whether you're an athlete, a competitor, or just a passionate fan, Sophi is a prime example of what it means to risk it all. Sophi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've never done an intro like that, so this is big.
I feel honored.
There's a lot to unpack there, but
yeah.
So let's start with lacrosse. Obviously, you're from Maryland. You started playing lacrosse at what age?
4.
4
maybe
years
3.
old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Born with a stick in my hand.
Born with the stick in your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was it like growing up in Maryland, and what was that like lacrosse culture like?
It's definitely the most competitive it can be. Growing up in that hotbed, you're surrounded by lacrosse. So when I say like born with a stick in my hand, you know, my dad played, my brother played, my sister, everyone I know played lacrosse. So that's pretty much all I knew. I didn't really have an option, so to speak, but honestly, I wouldn't want one. So it's just so crazy, especially, you know, coming out to Florida, and I coached a club team here, and just seeing the difference of their level of like competitiveness compared to back home in Maryland. Like it's like a 180. Like it's so crazy how different it is.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so you also played like a bunch of sports in high school, right? And growing up, like I know I did my research. You played volleyball and basketball and lacrosse, and you got, you know, all county in all of them. Like, what led to your decision to choose lacrosse? Because it seems like you really could have chosen any path.
Right. Well, it's a little different, I guess, because now there's, you know, a whole rule change that happened my freshman year of high school, where you can no longer commit and like talk to coaches until September 1st of your junior year. So I was, you know, very lucky and blessed, I think, in my point of views, where I actually committed in 8th grade to play lacrosse at Maryland. So I was, you know, really young, like 14 years old, I think, maybe 13, I don't even know, but made that, you know, huge step and choice in my life. So when I got to high school and I started playing volleyball and, you know, basketball and everything, I started getting offers and like looking at other schools and stuff just for like, you know, shits and gigs, just to be like, oh, like cool, I got an email from so-and-so to play basketball. But I mean, it was always lacrosse. There was a slight little moment where I thought about dual sport and doing volleyball and lacrosse. And then I was like, no, that's way too much. Yeah. So we'll just stick with lacrosse. But it's always been like, you know, my first true love.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, what was your mindset kind of, how did, you know, committing at in 8th grade, like impact your mindset, like going through high school? Did you feel like there was any level of kind of like not complacency, but like safety that you had because you already had something that was like, you weren't fighting for an offer, you know what I mean?
Right. No, that was definitely something I like feared almost, was becoming complacent, because that definitely is something that happens to a lot of people where you just like fall off because you do have that safety net. But I think honestly it made me work harder, especially, you know, my mom just in my ear every single day, like, don't get complacent, whatever. And honestly, like, I didn't want to. So I grew up, again, like I said, with like my siblings and everyone playing lacrosse. So seeing how competitive they were, like still made me want to like beat them every day. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Like my brother would be like, oh, like let's go play lacrosse when he would like come home from college. And I'd be like, oh, I'm going to like run your shit. Like I'm going to toast you right now. Like you're old, you're retired, like get out of here. Yeah. And it's just like having that level of competitiveness, like constantly, like I wanted to be the best. And that's all I cared about was being the best. And, you know, like helping a program grow or like continue to grow at Maryland, you know, where they've won 15 national championships. Like I just wanted to be a part of that greatness.
Yeah. And then like, what was your recruiting process like? Cause I'm sure that it was, you know, very kind of a whirlwind for you at what, like 14, 13 years old getting recruited?
Yeah. So we had my club team that I played for. We used to do these workshops where it was like, here's a packet, write, you know, your dream schools that like, you're probably not going to get there. And then you're realistic and like your plan C. So, you know, my dream school is obviously like Maryland, UNC, the powerhouses. And then my safety nets were like, I don't even know what my safety nets were, but like some random schools. And then, so I, you know, had those out. I talked to my coaches. I was also very blessed because my club coaches, my high school coach, like all played at Maryland, all had ties with Maryland. So I was truly surrounded by it from the beginning also. But it was just like, so crazy trying to like work so hard every day and just thinking I would never get there. And then my mom told me that when I was in 7th grade, actually, like they were looking at me and they wanted me. My mom was like, I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want you to be, you know, whatever, 12 years old being like, oh my God, I have to pick a college. Like she thought that was crazy. Not that 8th grade's probably any better, but then like just getting to 8th grade and I was at one of my tournaments and I was like, oh my God, Mom, like Kathy Wrisk is on the sideline. And she was like, oh, like, don't worry about it, like, don't stress out. And I was like, no, I love that. Like, I'm going to go pop off. Like, I'm going to show everyone the fuck up, like, whatever. And then just getting a call being like, hey, this is Kathy Wrisk. Like, we want you to come to Maryland. I was like, holy shit. Like, I did it. Like, that's so crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, like, I mean, obviously, I mean, Roman and I, my producer, Roman, we went to a lot of the games. Mm-hmm. And, like, during a regular season game, you have, I'd assume it's your whole family there with the posters and the signs and I saw the Sophi Wrisk T-shirts too. Yeah. Those are pretty, I gotta get one of those. I gotta get one of those.
Oh, absolutely.
But like, can you just speak to how your support system has like kind of helped you through that process? Like you said, like your mom didn't even want to tell you about, you know, sorry, I'm still sweating, but it's like bad. Like it's like dripping because I had to carry all this equipment up. So if you guys see me sweating, that's why. But yeah, just what role does your support system like play growing up?
It's kind of like a loaded question almost because, you know, they are my everything. I'm a very big family person. And I mean, I've said it like 3 times, but with everyone in my family playing sports, we all, you know, really thrive to be the best in whatever aspect it was. You know, my sister was a basketball player, my brother lacrosse, whatever. So having, you know, them constantly support me and also like seeing what they went through, even like when they were in high school. Like my brother was a stud in high school lacrosse and then he ended up stopped playing because of an injury. My sister was a tremendous basketball player, was getting looks from, you know, everyone, like some top schools. And then, you know, she just wasn't treated right by her coach. And so, like, she didn't end up getting, like, a lot of playing time and stuff. And just seeing, like, what they went through, how they dealt with it, that meant so much to me. Because, like, I wanted to, like, almost let them, like, live through me in a sense of being, like, you guys should have been there, you could have done it. So, like, they always supported me. And all I wanted to do was, like, support them back. And then my parents, too, you know, always there for me every single step of the way, whether it was a bad game, good game, no matter what. They did everything for me. They gave me every opportunity that I had, you know, to go train with the best, go do the best, just be there to support me every game. Like, even in college, my mom hasn't missed a single game, not one game, whether it was at Maryland where, you know, I was even redshirted my freshman year and I wasn't even on the field and she was still there every single game. And same with my dad and my brother and sisters are like flying out or driving to like come support me. It's just, I am truly so honored and blessed to have such a big support system that has, you know, I wouldn't be here without them.
Yeah, so they flew from Maryland for every UTampa home game. That's awesome. Yeah. That is pretty cool. So when you were playing at Maryland, what was that experience like? Was it everything you had imagined as a recruit, or I'd imagine it was probably a little bit different than you had expected, you know?
Yeah. I don't even know what I pictured it as. But when I got there, it was like everything I imagined, but also like a little less almost. I think I thought of it as like the scariest thing there is. Like, oh man, I'm playing with, the number one players in lacrosse. Like, I'm playing with Brittany Griffin and Lizzie Colson, who are, professional lacrosse players. And I, like, I was 17 years old going to college, and I was like, holy crap, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, everyone's terrified about the run tests and, like, all this. And then I got there, and, there was hard days, but it was, like, so, like, this is going to sound bad, but, like, it was so much easier than I thought it would be. Yeah. And, like, I really did have, like, the time of my life there, and I'm so thankful for, my 2 years there, and, like, getting to win a Big Ten was, like, so sick, and it was so cool. But it was definitely kind of like I don't know, almost a 180 from what I expected. Like, it was not nearly as bad as I thought.
Yeah, so they kind of, like, scare you a little bit to weed out the people who are, like, really about it and really aren't. Yeah, you know what I mean?
100%.
That makes sense. Now, you did your redshirt freshman year there and your official freshman year there.
Yes.
And then you decided to enter the transfer portal.
Right.
What went into that decision? And then, how'd you navigate that process? How'd you end up at UTampa? What other schools were you considering,
Yeah. So I had, like I said, like, I had the time of my life in Maryland. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I truly, met some great people, made some great memories there, all that good stuff. At the end of the day, I didn't like my coaches, whatever that happened. So, we kind of butted heads, I guess, is the easiest way to say it. And then I was like, you know what, I'd rather go somewhere and, like, go to a program where there's not so much, like, not politics, but, like, it was so much, like, you're the one, and, like, it's going to be, like, U12 on the field, and, like, that is it. And I hated that because I saw people, who are the best who never got a shot. Especially, again, like, with a program that has 15 national championships, like, you weren't doing anything new. Like, it was so expected for you to win and be the top dog. And, like, my first year there, like, we lost to Duke in the Sweet 16, which has never happened before. And it was such, like, a letdown. But then I was like, I don't know, just something about that. I was like, I don't like this. Like, I want to go somewhere else where, like, we can do something, like, from the beginning, like, ground up. Like, let's take, a team from wherever they are, like, to the top. Like, I want to be a part of something great. Like, I want to create a legacy and leave, a legacy there. And so, I called my coach. I was like, hey, I'm going to go in the portal. And she was like, are you sure? Like, you can't come back after. I was like, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure. I need to get out of here. And so one of my brother's best friends actually was the assistant coach at Florida Tech. And so I reached out to her, came and, like, visited. And she was like, I'm going to be honest, I really think you would enjoy Tampa. Like, I think that's so, like, you. That's so your style there. Like, they would definitely want you, like, whatever. Like, I'll reach out, Kelly, and, like, tell her to check the portal. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, sure, whatever. I drove around. I was like, let's look at some different schools around here. I was like, Florida Southern, absolutely not. I was like, St. Leo, no, whatever. And then I drove onto, like, Tampa's campus, and I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, this is it. I don't even care. Like, I'm coming here, like, regardless. But, I mean, a lot of people ask me, like, why didn't you stay D1? Like, whatever. Like, I was getting looked at, by other D1 programs. And I was just like, I don't care about that anymore. Like, I don't care about the hype. Like, that's something, when I was in 8th grade, like, yeah, that is all I cared about. You want to be that kid when I was walking down the hallway in high school, and they're like, oh, like, Miss D1. And it's like, yeah, it's cool. But then you get there and, like, you go through it. And I was like, that actually doesn't mean shit. Like, I'm playing with, a team, and, like, obviously we are the best team in D2. And so, like, I'm talking to other transfers and everything, and it's like, we could beat, like, a lot of the D1 teams anyway. Like, it really doesn't matter. And, like, now that I came here and I got a family and, like, we got to do something that has never been done before, like, that is what is most important to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, what do you think? Because obviously, like, Maryland has a culture of success.
Right.
What do you think that you were able to learn from that experience to, like, be able to bring to Tampa? Because, like, obviously, like, as soon as you got here, you kind of began to build and you became, like, the heart of the team. Just talking to, some of our friends who are on the team, like, you redefine the culture. Do you think that being from Maryland and having played at Maryland, do you think that you were able to take those values and, like, instill them here, some of them?
I think, coming into this program, that is one of the first questions I asked when I was meeting with the coaches. I was like, what is your culture like here? Like, what do you guys care about? Like, your morals almost and stuff like that. And also, what is a team of like 50 girls? Like, oh God, like that's got to be a
Yeah.
shit show. Like, there's no way everyone gets along and everything. Because coming from a team at Maryland where there's 27 people, like we, not everyone was best friends, which happens, but like we had our moments where it was like, oh God, like not again, like whatever, shit's in the fan. And she was like, you guys aren't all gonna be best friends here at Tampa, but like you genuinely do get along. So like coming in here and like coming from that Maryland side where like, when we're hitting certain points of the season where people are almost like at each other's throats, like I knew exactly what I didn't want to happen. So like, yeah, like it was great and like I made great memories and everything, and like I could bring some of those like, I don't know, like fun times, I guess, like here and be like, oh my God, like why are we acting this way? Like we should be like this instead, or like stuff like that. I don't know exactly how to word it, but getting here and just being like, if something got a little like heat of the moment, like being like, hey, at the end of the day, like we're teammates, we need to have each other's back regardless. And like it's been like that ever since. Like there's never been a moment where it's like, oh my God, I hate so and so on the team. Like genuinely everyone, like we really are a family. And like, yeah, we have our moments where like, in a family you might not, whatever, you have your times, but truly everyone like does love each other, and I wouldn't have like a second thought of someone genuinely probably taking a bullet for me on this team, which is crazy to think about.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good team right there.
Yeah. No, it is.
And you get the hardware to show for it now too.
I know.
So let's actually talk about what everybody really, the juice.
Yeah.
This season, I think, were we at the game where you tore your ACL, right? It was against Mercy. It was in Tampa. Your whole family was there, your whole support system.
Yeah.
It was less than 2 months ago at this point, right? Or a little bit over
March
2 months
16th,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah, so a little bit over 2 months ago, you guys are gearing up for the postseason. You're rolling. You're only lost one game. You go down with an ACL injury. What is your first immediate thought in that moment?
Holy fuck. No way. Like, just absolute no way that happened. Like, just being in the moment, like, I literally just remember grabbing the turf and being like, I'm very big in my faith. And I remember just being like, holy fuck, like, God, why? Like, why did this just happen? In my 5th year, like, I've never had a crazy injury like that where, it can be season ending. Just having, like, this sounds so dramatic, but, like, kind of like my life flashed before my eyes of, like, lacrosse, being like, oh my God, no way, this is ending. Like, we're on such a high, like, just no, like, this is not occurring right now.
Yeah. Okay, so afterwards, you go to the sideline, you're getting assessed. Did you go right to the hospital afterwards, or what was that like?
So it happened, I'm on the sideline doing like the Locksman test, and like, no, your ACL's not there. And I was like, cool, great, love that, whatever. Like, I knew when it happened, I heard my teammate on the restraining line 30 yards away from me heard my knee pop. Like, I knew it wasn't good, and I assumed it was that. It was like, at this moment, it was, please don't be anything else. Like, please don't be also my meniscus or like my MCL. I just truly wanted it to be ACL because, as we know now, like, if it's ACL, you can play. But, there's a lot of other moving parts that, it might not be able to happen. So on the sideline, they're assessing me. The game ends. We had weather delay, so that we had to end up playing the rest of the game the next day. But staying there, my trainer told me at, like, that weather delay, like, yeah, I think it's your ACL. And my coach was like, hey, like, I'm really sorry. If you want, like, we can fight for, like, an extra year for, like, your medical red shirt. And I looked at her, I go, oh, no, like, I'm not doing that. I'm bracing up and I'm playing. Like, that is my only option. Like, there's no way this team with, like, this much potential, like, I'm going to just step away from if I can't.
Yeah. So who did you talk to, figure out how to logistically be able to play on a torn ACL? Or did you have, like, you took a couple weeks off, right? How many weeks?
I think I was on crutches for, like, a week, probably, like, a month, I think. Having to do, like, oh my gosh, I was doing PT, I had to, like, pass a test and everything, doing all this, like, rehab stuff on the side, like, every single day, and then, like, missing games. So it was probably, like, a month I was out.
And during that month process, like, when did you decide that you're going to play? Is immediately afterwards? You're like, I'm going to fight through this?
Literally, before we even were like in the locker room on the sideline. I was telling my coach, like, I'm going to brace up and play. And, you know, she was all for it. You know, I was talking to Chili, and she was just like, absolutely, like, hell yeah, like, let's do it. Like, you're such a badass, whatever. And then, you know, after the fact, you know, I got my x-rays, MRI and all that, and they were like, yeah, it is just clean ACL. So, you know, talked to my trainer, Boot, like, he's the best, loved him. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did without him. And then also just, like, you got, you know, again, like, support from my family, from my teammates. I'll never forget, like, I mean, yeah, like, doing little, like, cone drills and, like, ladders on the sideline when I couldn't do anything else, and they're cheering me on. But then my first day back at practice, and as soon as I walked out, they all looked at me because I was in my practice jersey, and I was like, I'm back, bitches, and just everyone started cheering and, like, screaming, and, like, their support truly, like, I would not have been able to do without them. And, like, they were there for me every single step of the way. And, like, after practice, you know, always asking how I was, always being like, do you need anything? What can I help you with? Whatever. And then I also reached out to, you know, like, one of the alumni, Julia Colderman, who she played on her, like, a torn ACL for, I think it was, like, 3 years. Like, I don't know how she did it, and I'm pretty sure it's still torn. She just never got it fixed. But, you know, I reached out to her. I was like, what did you do? Like, what do I need to do to, like, get back to, like, as close to myself as I can be? And so I think just everyone's support, talking to, like, alumni, friends, family, teammates, whatever, like, everyone was there for me, you know, all my friends, all my family, like, everyone was praying for me, and, like, that just truly, you know, made me become able to do it. So
Yeah, absolutely. Now, going through your rehab process, was there ever a point where you're like, I'm not sure that I'll be able to do this, or you're just like, it's going to happen?
Yeah. Like, almost, I guess. I had, like, a lapse in judgment one day where I completely forgot I had a torn ACL, and I was coaching. I coached a high school lacrosse team around here, and I was at practice one day, and I was like, all right, like, we're going to do some dodges, whatever. And I was like, oh, crap, like, I can't show you right now. And I, like, started to dodge, and I, like, planted on my left foot to, like, go back to, like, my bad knee on my right, and I was like, oh, my God, I cannot show you. And I was like, how am I ever going to be able to go back on the field and, you know, like, be me? Like, you know, growing up, like, I was a dodger. That's, I think, like, I would, you know, win the draw, go down, dodge, and, like, score. Like, that's what I did on my club team. And so it was really hard for me to, like, realize I have to, like, reinvent myself. And so I had a couple moments where I was like, crap, like, how am I going to do it? But, like, I'm going to do it. Like, I was going to figure it out. Like, you know, my way or the highway. Like, I'm going to fucking figure it out one way or another.
Absolutely. Battling back, like, at what point did you kind of assess, like, okay, I'm good to go? And when you finally came back, like, how did you feel? Did you feel a difference in the way that you were able to play? And then, like, how did you adapt both mentally and physically to, you know, obviously playing without an ACL is not something easy.
I think I never knew when I was going to be back doing the rehab. And, like, you have to do this, I think it's like Biodex test. And so my trainer was like, once you get, you know, under this number, like, you're clear to go. So every single day, like, whether it was rehab or, like, in the gym or, like, doing that test, like, just trying to, like, better myself and, like, get better at it so, like, I could get back as soon as possible. We were like, I think my trainer said, like, maybe, like, SSC tournament, but, like, definitely NCAA, like, if everything goes well and we don't have any setbacks. And, you know, God willing, I got cleared before SSC tournament. And, you know, my first day out in practice, I'm, like, shaking in my boots. I'm like, oh, God, like, how is this actually going to go? Like, yeah, I've been doing rehab, but it's not the same, you know, obviously, as, like, playing. And so I get out there and, like, first play, like, someone throws me a pass and I have to, like, jump up to get it. And I was like, it wasn't even a thought in my mind. It was, like, second nature, you know, jump up, get the ball, and, like, run. And that's exactly what I did. And I, like, felt great. And I was like, all right, great. Like, all right, like, I can do this. I got this. And then, you know, I never dodged, never did anything. And then we were in our first game against St. Leo, like, first round of SSC tournament. And I got cleared to play half of the game. And so I go in there and I get the ball and I'm, like, just passing it. And I'm like, this sucks. Like, what am I doing? Like, this is not me. Like, if I'm going to be out here, I need to be a threat. You know, I can't just be a fly on the wall, whatever. And so I got the ball and I was like, I'm just going to do it. Like, I'm just going to go. Fuck it. Like, I can't tear it again. So what am I really, like, I can't make it worse. So whatever. And I got it. And I just, you know, did a little, like, stutter step, fucking pulled back and ripped it. And that was the like most freeing kind of moment where I was like, I literally can do it. Like, yeah, I might not be able to like roll dodge, but I can still dodge. I can make other things work. Like, I can still be a threat. And like, that was the biggest moment of like clarification of like, it doesn't even matter. Like, as long as I just buy in and I do it, like I can put my body on the line. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, just full on like go out, like sell out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you did that for, through the SSC tournament. And then once the NCAA tournament, progressed, I remember, I think I was watching, it was against Florida Southern too, right? And you go down and I was like, oh shit, like,
yeah,
that's what happened there. What was your first thoughts when that had happened? Like,
yeah, that was,
it looked bad. I thought it was like, and then
yeah.
you come back the same game. I'm like, this girl's Diesel. She's Diesel.
That was like so scary. I didn't know, I was very lucky when I was going through like rehab and coming back, people say like, oh, like your leg's gonna lock or like it might give out on you sometimes. I'm like, okay, I get that. Like that happened, but like that's not a setback. Like that's normal. I'm gonna live with that for the rest of my life, even when it's repaired. And then one of my teammates was like, like your knee might shift. Like, has it shifted on you yet? And I was like, what the hell does that mean? Like, no, I don't think so. And then in that game, I got shoved and my knee shifted. And then, all my weight just collapsed down at once. So like it was a lot of trauma on my bones. And so when I went down and I told my teammate, I was like, if I had an ACL, it felt like I tore it again. Like, that's exactly what it felt like, the same thing, just without hearing the pop. And, I had, like, the same reaction I did as when I tore it the first time almost. Like, at first I was like, that's fine. Like, I tweaked it. It's okay. Just get up. You're fine. And I was like, yeah, like, hitting the ground because, like, I was pissed off. And I was like, yeah, like, I scored. It doesn't matter. Like, let's go. And then I went to stand up, and I was like, holy crap. No, like, something. I tweaked it for sure. And I was like, just please tell me I did not, like, just tear my meniscus, though. And, I, like, went back down the ground. I'm, like, grabbing the turf. Same thing as when I tore it. And then I went out, and I was sitting there, and I'm, like, crying. And my coach was like, are you okay? Like, what do we need to do? Like, are you done? Whatever. And I was like, give me 5 minutes, and I'm going back in. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, give me 5 minutes, and I'm going back in. Like, I literally cannot make it worse at this point. Like, even if I tweaked my meniscus, like, I'm going to get surgery anyway. They'll repair it when they're in there. Like, let me finish out possible. Like, we had 4 more games left max, or maybe even 3. Like, just let me figure it out. And then I sat there and I was just like praying on the sideline, like, just please, like, just let me be okay. Like, give me some type of like strength just to finish this game and just finish out the season, And then I went back in there and like it felt weird. It definitely hurt. And it was like after the game mentally, it was very tough because it felt like such a big setback because I felt so good at that point. Like before, like the Florida Southern game, like before the game started and even, until that moment, I felt like almost normal. Like, I felt so good, like, I could do anything. And then that happened, and after the game, I was just like, I'm limping again. Like, everything hurts. Like, putting pressure on it hurts. I was like, oh, my God, like, what am I going to do? Like, I can't restart the process. Like, it's go time. Like, we're in it. So I just kind of just shoved it in the back of my head and, like, suppressed it. And I was like, just don't think about it, honestly. And, like, you can get through the pain. Like, we'll figure it out. And, like, I don't even know how. Like, I don't know how I did it because I wasn't doing rehab or anything, and I just did my best to, like, ignore it and hoped it wouldn't hurt that badly.
Yeah. So, obviously you guys go ahead and make it to your second consecutive national championship. You scored 2 goals in the first quarter, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. How freeing was that to kind of be like, okay, I made it. I'm in the national championship. Yeah. I just scored twice. Like, I'm sure you had some concerns about like underperforming with your ACL, like to be able to perform in the national championship. Like, did you have a realization in that moment? It's like, all right, well, we're here. I'm performing. Like, what was that experience like?
I feel like the most difficult part for me was like thinking about last year's national championship. Last year I had a really hot start. I came out, I had the first 3 goals in 5 minutes, and I had 5 goals in the first half. And, the commentator sitting there, and she was like, Sophi Wrisk had 5 goals, and, like, there's 15 minutes left. Like, she's on goal. Like, she's on pace for, like, 25 goals this game or some, like, crazy thing. He was like, I don't think it's going to happen, but, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to it's just the way I am, like, be the best to my ability. So, and I'm not saying, like, I'm not one that's like, oh, I need to go score 10 goals. Like, I don't like that. I'm not about that. I'm about, like, the team winning. So, like, me going out there and, like, creating space for someone to drive, like, that is a point in my head. Like, that's all I care about is, like, being the best to my ability, doing whatever I need to do for my teammates to, like, get theirs first. And that's something that, again, like, to go back to last year's Natty, getting interviewed after the game, and the guy was like, oh, like, how did you do it? Like, how did you have such, like, a hot start, whatever, like, your MVP? And I was like, I just was lucky enough to, like, be the person in the right spot at the right time. Like, I wasn't doing anything crazy. I wasn't dodging past 15 people. Like, no, I just was cutting in the middle, like, made a move and got it off. And, I shout out Cece Colombo, who was here the year before, and before every game she would say, like, it's not about you, it's about doing it for your teammates first. Like, your time will come. Like, do it for someone else first. And so that's something that I have carried with me ever since. And so in that game, knowing I'm pretty much limited to the 8 and being like, all right, just do what I can to get in here. I scored that first goal, and I was like, wow, okay. Like, it's like, I don't, like, there's nothing to stress about. Like, you can do it. And then, like, one of my teammates scored the next goal, and I was like, great, like, I got out of her way, I cleared space, I took my man through, like, perfect, like, we got it, we're here. Like, there was never a doubt that we weren't going to win. It was more so just, like, do what I can to help everyone else. And then, like, scored my second goal, I got face guarded, and I was, like, talking to my coach, I was like, do you want me to, like, stay in? Like, I'll come out and I'll stay out the rest of the game if it means that they're going to drop out the face guard and, like, we're going to win. And, I went out for a little bit, whatever, and then I went back in, and, like, it didn't matter, but I was, like, just so worried about, like, doing whatever I can for everyone else, especially with my limited mobility, especially with being stuck in the 8, being, like, feeling like I'm constantly in the way of most of everyone. So just trying to, like, be there for them and almost, like, support them with however I can. And then, again, like, getting those goals off, I was just like, oh my God, like, I still got it. Like, I still got it. I'm good.
Yeah. So I did do my research. I saw that one of your favorite athletes is John Wall.
Yes.
So maybe a little inspiration from John Wall right there at the point guard position.
Yeah. I don't even know. Like, I think just growing up, my brother was like, we're a big sports family, and seeing John Wall and, like, him and my brother was always, like, not obsessed with him because that sounds weird, but, like, loved John Wall. And my brother, like, gave me his jersey before I got to college, and he was like, everyone knows, like, the Wizards were never a good NBA team. Like, the Wizards suck, whatever. But, like, John Wall was such, like, a huge part there, at least, like, in my family. Like, we were always talking about, like, even talk about the Wizards, like, you talk about John Paul. He gave me, like, his jersey before I went to college, and he was like, leave your legacy, like he did with the Wizards. And that just, like, kind of spoke to me. Yeah.
And then what's the Alex Ovechkin inspiration as well, I saw?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's the GOAT. He is literally the best. And just, like, oh, my God, it was so crazy this year with, him, breaking his leg in a game. And it was like he broke his femur and came back and played and still broke the all-time goal record and, did all of this, crazy stuff. And that was, like, especially inspirational to me this year with going through, like, what I was going through. Obviously, it's not the same as breaking your femur, but I was like, damn, like, he's old and he's doing it, and he's still, like, the best. Like, he is the best. And so, I mean, just looking up to him and, like, how he was, with the team, the Wizards, the Capitals, like, weren't always that good. Like, he never won a Stanley Cup, and then finally he got one. And, like, I don't know, growing up and with, like, the club team that I played on, my club team was terrible. We were dog crap. Like, I think we won one tournament in my however many years of playing club. And so kind of, like, watching that and, like, seeing him being like, oh, my God, I'm just like him.
Yeah.
And then getting to college and, like, winning that Big Ten, I was like, wow, oh, my God. And then getting to Maryland, I was like, holy shit, like, I'm Alex Ovechkin. Like, this is so cool. Like, whatever. I don't even know, but.
And then to make the comparison, too, where he's on the, your fifth year this year, he was on the, or still is on the latter half of his career.
Yeah. He
probably has the same mentality. It's just like, you know what? It's going to get repaired eventually. And
right.
just leave it all on the ice, leave it all on the field, regardless.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, that's my well, we're both Patriots fans, so we love like Tom Brady and love the Celtics. But yeah, we you could definitely take a lot of inspiration from professional athletes.
Oh, 100%.
And there's ways to relate to them, and like even still, if I feel like I'm like down and out on a situation, I'm like, well, if Tom Brady can come back from 25 points in the Super Bowl, you can do this. You know what I mean? So it definitely gives you some valuable perspective, and like it's good to be able to connect with a player like that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
All right, I got some more good questions too.
Oh boy.
All right, let's see. All right, so you guys have a great team culture. I see all the videos of the sideline celebrations, the dog masks, everything. Who started that? Where did that dog mask tradition come from? Because I know it's like been around for a little while, right?
I honestly have no idea. Well, like, I don't know. Let me rephrase that. I don't know where like the barking and like, I know like our assistant coach Chili, ever since, I mean, I know she's been saying it since before I got here, but underdog mentality. We are always the underdog, and be the hungry dog, because hungry dogs run faster. That was always a thing before I got here, and like we truly do embrace that, just as a team. And then I think the actual dog masks came last year. I think that's when we got.
It seems
the
like
dog
they were like
masks.
dropped off at the door by like a stork or something.
Literally, yeah, right. You would think so. Like God Himself brought it down and gave it to us. Like it was meant to be. But I think it was MK on my team. I think she bought them, but I honestly don't know. I don't know why that even I know why it happened, but like I don't know why that was like, yeah, we're gonna bring dog masks on the sideline, but like I love it.
Yeah.
But like coming in here, like my first week, people were like barking at me at practice, and I was like, what the hell is going on? By the second week, I was barking at everyone.
Yeah.
Like, you totally have to embrace it to be here. And like we talk about this like a lot. I was just talking about it with one of my teammates the other day. We're like, wow, if we were on any other team, we would hate us. We would so hate us. Like, we're so annoying. And like, also, like, who walks out with dog masks on and like a Spartan costume and cape? Like, who the hell does that and then like wins back-to-back Natty champs? Like, it's so crazy.
Yeah, the fact that you guys definitely had like a huge target on your back the second time around too. But yeah, I mean, you guys basically dominated throughout the entire season. Like, there was only one. You guys only lost once, but I mean, that St. Leo game was close too. But it seemed like you guys like. Oh yeah, shout out Josie for that. For that
I know
goal too.
For real.
But yeah, it just seems like that culture of like, the celebratory culture, like even I saw like, cause I'm on some private stories. So I see like the locker, like you guys are all dancing and at halftime, where was that the SSC championship game or?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Cause I was like a rain delay or whatever. Yeah. We were, I mean, we're always like that. Like, it's so like crazy to see like how different we are, but we're all the same. Like before the game, like me personally, like I need to put my headphones on. I need to like kind of like sit in the corner and like just do my own thing and like be very calm. And then I have teammates that need to, dress up, bark, dance, like do whatever. And it's so funny to like see that, especially in the middle of a game where like we're on a rain delay and we walk in and I like laid down the back. I was like, I'm going to take a nap. Like I'm exhausted. I need to lay down. Like I need to calm down. And then I'm like, just start hearing this like barking and yelling and like, the music's blaring. I like rolled over and I was like, oh my God, like what the hell are we doing? Like that's so freaking like random and like weird. And it's like any other team, I feel like, you'd sit there and you'd be like, all right, guys, like here's the game plan, like get some water, whatever. And it's like, we're exerting majority of our energy right now in the locker room.
Yeah. But it's good to have a team culture like that. It seems fun.
Oh yeah. It is such a blast. Like it is the time of your life, whether you are, before a game or like even before practice, like we are always that way. And it's so funny. And like our coach always tells us like, this is like the chillest, most like vibey team like she's ever had. And it's like so weird how true that is. Like we like, oh my God, thrive so much on like good vibes, high energy. And so like that's like we are always like that. And it is so much fun to be a part of. But like it also gets a little stressful where like you do get moments where like someone gets down and like we have to constantly, you know, like be that reminder, like be there for like your teammate and be like, hey, like it's gonna be fine, like whatever, like remember this, like in the locker room, and it's like, oh my god, like get a good laugh in, and it's like we're back.
Yeah,
so,
that's good to have something like that to refer to, and you know, just draw your energy upon. It's like a nucleus where just gives you energy.
Literally.
What is your favorite sideline celebration that you've seen this season?
So, it's so hard. I think I have two. I love when MK scores and they get on the ground and they like shoot and then roll over and then shoot because she's ROTC. I love that. I also think I don't think we brought it out until the Natty game. Actually, we didn't because they practiced it the night before. But Alexis, AB, and OJ, like, have you seen that thing where like someone does a cartwheel, but like there's two people, like one's upside down, one person, and you're like constantly, They pulled that out in the Natty, and I just remember like looking over and being like, what the hell? Like, what is going on right now? And then just being like, that's so hype. Like, that's so lit. Like, I'm so excited right now because that's like funny and crazy. And like, what college team is doing that on the sideline?
Yeah.
Those are probably my two favorite.
I saw the clip of Miranda doing the piggyback thing. I mean, that was terrible. I saw
that was so bad.
Yeah.
That was so bad. I literally told Jenna the night before, I was like, whoever you are picking to run you out, like, pick a good person that's not going to fall, like, you know, going to be, like, strong enough to carry you. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to get Miranda. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I'm hugging Peyton. We won. Hugging her. I look over, and I just see the whole thing. Like, Jenna just eat it. And I was like, oh, my God, no. Like, there's no way. And then they get up and run. And I'm like, all right, cool. She's fine.
Yeah.
But Miranda had, like, she had turf burn on her face. She was gushing blood. I was like,
that's
you know what? That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
Exactly. Now, this is something that I've seen a lot on like social media and stuff, and I feel a certain way about it. I'd imagine that you feel a certain way about it. But all of the men's teams got to play at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, huge venue. I mean, and it seems as if like the women's team were just thrown wherever they would, whatever school would take them.
Yeah.
And I know that was it the Tufts coach that spoke about it in a press conference and talked about the lack of accessibility that there is for, you know, not just women's lacrosse, but just women's sports in general.
Right.
How do you feel about that? And do you feel as though that there's a level of like unfair treatment with women's lacrosse?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, I 100% agree. Like, I think it is, you know, it's very like disheartening just to see and like to be in that spot where, you know, you've worked so hard to like, you know, get to the Final Four and, you know, hopefully, you know, make it to a Natty. And we're like last year, we were on a high school field in the middle of, Winter Park, Florida. Like in the middle of nowhere, there's nothing around. And we're playing on a high school field for a Final Four and a national championship. And then, you know, like this year, like our men's team, and then like, you know, being from Maryland, like watching like the boys, everything, and like they're at Gillette. And then even like the D1 teams, and it's like, it's so frustrating to see. And then, you know, especially because, you know, when I was at Maryland, we went to a Final Four. And so when we were there, we played at Hopkins that year. And I'll never forget, like, Kathy Reese looking at us and me, like, when you walk out there, like, all you newbies, when you walk out there, like, embrace it, take it in. We sold out the stadium. So, like, that was so cool, especially, you know, as, you know, a female athlete, to like be selling out a stadium for women's lacrosse. Like, you know, that's lacrosse isn't big enough already. So especially as a female athlete, to sell out like a stadium was the coolest thing ever. And so having that experience like was so amazing. And then to get here, you know, and 2 years later be playing at a high school field, like it broke my heart. Like it's so hard to see, especially like when you've been on the opposite side of it. Where like, I'm not gonna lie, like when I was, you know, playing at Maryland, I didn't pay attention to D2 and D3 games. I didn't. As terrible as that sounds, but like I'm going to be honest, like I wasn't watching them. And so like it wasn't even a thought in my head. And I never once thought about it. And then I got here and I was like, wait, what the hell? Like, are you serious? Like, that's so crazy. Like how is this, you know, allowed to happen? And like before the Natty game this year, you know, like we're in our huddle, like in the locker room. And I was like, I know we're not walking out, you know, in Gillette Stadium. I know we're not walking out to whatever, 1,700 fans, whatever it is. Like, I know we're not getting that. But still, like, we worked so hard to get here. You need to, like, walk out and just look around and embrace it. I know it's not, you know, what we want it to be. I know it's not what, you know, men's and D1 women's are getting. But, like, truly embrace how, you know, blessed you are to be in this spot. And then, you know, we were all so thankful. We were all, like, on the bus or hanging out or something, and we saw the Tufts video, and everyone was like, thank God someone said something. Like, thank God. They made a letter, actually, the Tufts coach did, and sent it to us yesterday and was like, do you guys want to co-sign on this with us? I think it would be great coming from, you know, a national championship team and, you know, a national championship contending team, just to sign this and send to the NCAA about, you know, how unfair this is and, you know, how, you know, again, like heartbreaking it is to like have teams work so hard all season and then you're showing up to, you know, a high school field or like Roanoke College. And I mean, she said it in the video and like, I'll say the same thing. Like Roanoke College did great. Like their facilities are very nice and like they did everything for us. And like, it was a great celebration, whatever, but it's hard, you know, to feel a certain way when they're at like Gillette. Like, yeah. It's two completely different things.
Yeah, absolutely. Just thinking about, you know, I mean, I'm from Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. The winners, like the high school national championships at every division 1 through 7, are all hosted at Gillette Stadium, which is like
so crazy.
Yeah, which is like obviously you don't have to pay that much for travel and stuff like that, but it just says something about like the lack of, you know, exposure and respect that women's sports are getting. But I think that we're starting to see potentially like kind of a change in tide. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that, you know, like voices and people like Caitlin Clark are huge for, you know, women's sports in general. But can you see yourself, you know, beyond your playing career, like being an advocate for, you know, because I feel like you're well positioned to do so, to like be an advocate for women's sports. And I know that you're involved in some organizations that already, you know, work with, you know, whether it's youth athletes or whatever. Right. How do you see yourself fitting into that puzzle? And is that something that you're interested in?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, also the career path I'm, you know, currently following right now and everything is becoming a college lacrosse coach. So I 100% see myself getting involved, you know, whatever level I end up at, you know, I 1,000% seeing myself like being out there and like advocating for, you know, like if it's Tampa or whatever, like next year's teams and like all the years to follow after that. I know it's not going to be, you know, like an overnight change. It is going to take some time, unfortunately, but 100%, like I would love to be doing like what the Tufts coach is doing right now, like as a head coach or an assistant coach or a volunteer coach, whatever it is. I would 100% love to like, you know, really just stand up to the NCAA and like speak out against this.
Yeah, because it's not like they don't have enough money to do it, right. And it's not like there's not enough money in sports. Like they're literally making millions off of some of these athletes, and yeah, it's crazy. I think it's wrong. So
yeah, 100%.
But now I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit. But after you guys won the Natty last year, you guys got to go to the White House, and this is kind of an interesting story. You guys went to the White House the day after Joe Biden resigned from running for president, and he got a whole speech and everything. Like, what was that experience like? Like, what did you expect? You know, that's kind of crazy.
So crazy.
I was like, I saw it on the news, and then like I saw somebody like post on their Instagram story that they were at the White House. I was like, yo, this is actually wild. Yeah,
it was so weird. It was, I don't even know. Like the whole day was kind of like a fever dream almost. It was, I don't know what I was expecting, but it was not that. Yeah. It also, I mean, this is out of everyone's control, but like it was raining, it was hot, we're all in ponchos, we're sweating, like it was just a gross day, but it was cool to be there with all these athletes and, you know, like just seeing everyone and like talking to other athletes from, you know, wherever and like whatever sport. It was very cool, and we are like, you know, very blessed and honored to have gotten the opportunity to do that. But you know, like we get there, we go through like a little tour, and then we're like standing out like on the grass, talking, hanging out, and then we're like, all right, like we're gonna get a cool speech, like whatever. And the speech that we received was probably, I'll say, 5 to 8 minutes long. And it was, hey, congratulations on being here. And then it was all about just like election stuff. And it was like, are you serious? Like, we're all here because we won. Like, we don't, I mean, maybe people do care, but like, personally, that is not the reason I went to the White House that day.
Yeah.
That was there to be celebrated and, you know, like to have just a cool experience. And it was like a halfway cool experience. Like, it could have been a little bit better if like you actually just celebrated us, but instead it turned so political that everyone, like, we were all sitting there, we're all just like, what is going on right now?
Yeah.
Like, why is this the conversation that we're having?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it'll be a little cooler this year.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's like
I'm
really
so
cool.
excited.
Because he's a showman. Trump's a showman. He likes to put on
Yeah.
a big show. And, you know, you've seen, I mean, when Alabama won the national championship, he got them all like McDonald's or something like that. He got like 100 Big Macs.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but
I'm
it was
so
like,
excited.
yeah.
I have a really good feeling about it.
Yeah. Because I feel like you guys didn't even get to go up and like shake hands or anything like
Yeah,
that.
no.
Like, I feel like Trump would have all you guys
Yeah.
come up and shake his
I know.
hand, and that'll be sick.
That I just want a picture. I just want a picture so bad.
Yeah. That
Want a
would be
picture.
pretty cool.
I
That would be
know.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. We got a game. Roman, you ready for the game? He's locked in. He's watching
God.
something on his phone here. Okay, ready? It's called Risk It or Skip It. Okay.
All right.
So I'm going to give you a situation, and it's like kind of like a trade-off thing, right?
All right.
If you would do it, you'd say risk it.
Okay.
If you wouldn't, skip it.
All right.
Okay, you ready? Get another full year of eligibility and win a national championship, but you have to play for Florida Southern. Risk
Skip
it or skip it?
Skip it.
Skip it?
1000%.
Okay. Get featured in a Netflix documentary, but you're painted as the team villain.
Risk it because I'm curious what people would say.
Okay. All right, this one's interesting. Let your ex run your Instagram for a week, but you gain 100,000 followers.
Skip it.
Okay. Give your championship ring to a fan, but your story goes viral and you get a sponsorship with Nike.
Risk it.
Okay.
I mean, I have two, so right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly.
If I had one, I think I would still risk it.
Okay. Missed the game-winning goal in the national championship, but Alex Ovechkin reposts you on his story and gives you words of encouragement.
Skip it. Skip it.
Okay. Deliver a halftime speech that gets posted by ESPN, but you have a terrible voice crack in the middle of it, and that's why it goes viral.
I feel like that happens a lot anyway. Risk it.
Okay. All right. Get offered the head coaching job at Maryland, win a Natty in your first season, but you have to eat shrimp scampi for every meal for a full year.
What? Risk it. That's like one of my favorite meals.
That's what I saw, but every meal, every meal.
Oh, 100%.
3 meals a day.
Absolutely.
All right. That's actually it. That's all of our game. So
That's great.
yeah, that's fun, right?
That was
I don't have any more questions, but like I feel like we could just chop it up for now and like, you know, get into like the, you know, nitty-gritty and stuff, you know. So what's next? You know, what's the plans for the future? You know, you made that decision not to, you know, take your final year of eligibility. I mean, you probably could have, you know, you would accomplish a lot this season. The team was, you know, on pace to still, you know, go ahead and win, and you could have been a contributor in that sense. Why did you, you know, well, I mean, now we're kind of going backwards, but, you know, what led to like you say, all right, this is the end of, you know, my story, or not necessarily story, like there's opportunities for you elsewhere, but just,
But
what went into that decision?
you know, it is very hard. I've played lacrosse. You know, I'm 22 years old, so I've played lacrosse for 18 years of my life, which is so weird to think about. But whatever. I've been playing lacrosse for 18 years of my life. You know, this is, you know, I've always said this, and it's such like a weird thing to say, I guess, but like this is my lifeline. Like this has been my everything. You know, good day or bad day, all I want to do is like go shoot. You know, I want to go shoot around, whatever. And it's definitely, you know, going to be extremely hard, but I was thinking about it, you know, when that opportunity kind of came of like, I can take another year or not. And I just, like, I don't know, like, it's time for for me to hang up the cleats. You know, eventually I am going to have to walk away. So, you know, walk away this year, walk away next year. I think what truly made me make the decision to like kind of wrap it up this year is just the fact that like we were on such a high and we were at, you know, such a good point in our season where like there was never a doubt that we were going to win the Natty. And like it wasn't like a cocky thing, because that is something that I get very worried about, is like you can be confident all you want, but we cannot get cocky, because that's, you know, when we get screwed. So there was never second thought though. It was always all year long, we're going to get to the Final Four. And once you're in the Final Four, like we always said, like we're going to win. You know, like that's going to be us. We're going to get to the Final Four. We're going to go to the Natty. We're going to win. Like there's never been a second thought. And so when I was in that moment and my coach was talking to me about it, I was like, first of all, my body's falling apart clearly. So maybe another year wouldn't be a good idea. But also just like if we have such an opportunity, like not being handed to us, because obviously we worked for like every single thing, but like the opportunity is right here. Like grab it while we're here. And, you know, granted, you know, I still would have like gotten a ring if I chose, you know, not to do it and get it fixed and come back next year. But also like, I don't know how I'm going to be when I come back. You know, I've talked to so many of like my teammates, you know, current and old, like, what is it like coming back and everything? And like, I have teammates tell me like, you know, eventually you get past it. Like you get past that hump of being like, oh boy, like I don't want to do it again. But then also like, I've been around so many like horror stories of teammates that have torn either the same knee or the other knee. And I'm such like a superstitious kind of person too, where like the game that I tore my ACL, I have to like tap the side of my stick 60 times like with the ball. And like if I have to keep doing it until I get 60 in a row. The day I tore my ACL, I didn't get 60 and I couldn't get it. Like literally the clock was running down. We had like warm-ups were done. I could not get 60. And because I'm, you know, so that way and like I missed all my shots and warm-ups and like it was just terrible. And I was like, I can't imagine coming back next year. And if I'm, you know, the way I am and I don't, you know, like do something the way I want it done, like I'm going to do it again. And I can't imagine, you know, getting it repaired and tearing it again. Like I'd rather finish this out, sell out, whatever, figure it out. And then, you know what, hang up the cleats. I had a great career. I'm very proud of everything that I've done, you know, no matter what it was. Like I'm just so thankful for my experience. And I couldn't imagine it ending any other way. Like the fact that, you know, I don't know who's going to be on the team next year. Like we're going to get transfers. People are leaving. We have the new incoming class. And, you know, it'll always be Tampa. Obviously, they're always going to win from here on out. They're never going to lose. Yep. But, like, I don't know, just that possibility of, like, you know, I know this team. Like, this is my family. Like, let's go out in a bang and let's end my career at the highest peak it can be at.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So I kind of want to ask about, like, social media and stuff, too, and, like, branding, because I feel as though, like, you've branded yourself well. Is that something that, you know, is obviously it comes off as very authentic, but like, is that something that you do consciously to, like, you know, I know you have some brand deals, you work with like Liquid IV and stuff like that. Like, how have you, you know, navigated the social media landscape for obviously your benefit? Because I'm sure a lot of athletes listening like want to know how to, you know, maybe it's not even grow a following. Like you don't have to grow a following, but just, you know, brand yourself in a way that comes off as authentic.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of different like aspects to it. Like when it comes to like sponsorships and everything, I don't have like my biggest sponsorship is probably Bucked Up. But like that is not something that's very normal. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how I got it. I really don't. I think I DM'd them one day and I was like, or like I tagged them in a picture and I DM'd them and then we just started DMing and they were like, yeah, we'll sponsor you. Cool, great, whatever. But like that has nothing to do with lacrosse. That is just like a random thing. Same with like Liquid IV. Like I wish my sponsorships were more surrounded about like by lacrosse, because like that is, you know, that is me. Like that is what I have to offer. You know, besides that, like I'm a normal person. Like, you know, like there's nothing special about me. Like the way I've, you know, made a name for myself is because of lacrosse. So I think that it's something that's a little like iffy for me. I wish it was more lacrosse around it. But I did, I worked with an NIL company, and they got me together with, I did Diana's Bananas, and I, worked with them for a little bit, made a cool, lacrosse video, that was sick, whatever. So, it's cool. It's nice to have, those sponsorships, and I think the best way to go about it is genuinely reach out, and I think my thing was always, the worst they're going to say is no. But, also you have to be kind of, prepared for that no. Reaching out, to a company Gate Lacrosse, when especially, they sponsor our team, obviously, but, before they did, my first year here, I'm that'd be so sick to be sponsored by, Gate. All my friends at Maryland were, or not all of them, but, a crap ton of them are sponsored by Gate, and I'm that'd be so sick, do all these videos, blah, 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 whatever. They're posted everywhere because they're so good at lacrosse. And then I DMing companies like that, or STX, whatever, where it's they don't really post D2 or D3. That's not, their main thing is D1, which, whatever, that's a whole nother thing. But trying to find companies that, are willing to support you and, kind of help you grow your name, but also you're helping them grow their name. So reach out, the worst they're going to say is no, but also if they do say no, sometimes, that's life, you're not going to get everything you want. So just kind of being ready for that. But I think a big thing about branding yourself on the other aspect of it, especially with how big social media is today, is I get so worried about what people post. And I think it's just so crazy because when I, was committed, I was going through high school now. So all of high school, that's when, people are starting to go to parties and they're trying to do, whatever, anything and everything people are trying to get into. And I'm, honestly kind of blessed. My mother was the way she was, where she was very much it's better off not to go, because even if I'm in the background and there's a red solo cup, people are going to assume, and you could lose everything. And I think that's something that people need to be more aware of these days, is it takes one screenshot, whatever, but it's out there forever. And so I think people really need to be smarter about that stuff, because they don't think about it, and it's oh, well, I'm not holding it, my friend is, but it's you're still there. People are going to assume that you're partaking in whatever it is. So brands also don't want stuff like that. And that's a huge way I got, with bucked up, because I wasn't posting, crap like that, all over my platform. My platform is lacrosse and me and my friends, and it's nothing of that aspect, which I think is a huge thing that, they do look into.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that social media is a huge, sorry, I was talked out of the mic for a second there. I just think it's a huge tool for even recruiting and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Were you using it during your, you probably weren't, right? You were too young to really.
Yeah, I wasn't, but it that definitely is how it is now. Talking, to my coaches, and they're being oh, do you know anything about this player, whatever? They sent me, here's their Instagram for lacrosse. And I'm just you guys make Instagrams for your lacrosse? It's so different from how it was from me. But also, seeing my high schoolers and, in their recruiting process, and, whether it's my club team or my high school team, some of them do want to go play college. And I'm okay, let me see your Instagram. Just let me see it. And I'm college coaches will look at it. That is one of the first things, Kathy Reese told me, was that, you can't post X, Y, and Z. And then also, the players were they're going to follow you under, burner accounts. And you're going to accept it because you're going to be oh, it's so, whatever, it's Jack, it doesn't matter. And it's they are looking at every little thing you post, every comment you've made, everything you're tagged in. It's just better to be safe than sorry. Or, also, just don't take pictures. It doesn't need to be everywhere.
Yeah.
But, they look at everything. So, recruiting-wise, you need to be smart just about everything that you're doing, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that people kind of underestimate. Obviously, I didn't know that burner account thing. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Somebody's always watching.
Oh, always. It's Big Brother.
Exactly.
Everywhere.
It is.
Everywhere.
Is there a camera?
I know.
There is a camera on us right now. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so like I do like some like social media stuff, and I'm like running the account for this 12-year-old who just started. He's pretty good at hockey, and his parents just sent me like training clips. And the first video I posted got like 200,000 views on his account, and he gained like 500 followers. I'm like, I mean, like that wasn't the intention of that post. It just happens. Like it kind of shows that, number one, like you never know how many people are going to see what you post, and then number two, like starting early with your recruiting process, and advertising yourself in a way that's like professional, clean, showcasing your skills, showcasing your work ethic, showcasing who you are as a person. Like social media is your tool to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's something that definitely needs to be, taken advantage of. Because I couldn't imagine having to deal with it. But like now, like people need to use it to their advantage. And especially like you said, like the clean aspect of it, like that is one thing I will always kind of be able to say about myself from, talking to other people, and like what other people have said about me is like people always know that like, this is like the authentic me. I am a very, nice person. I am, very sweet, and like I'm very welcoming and whatever to everyone. And like even my friends have said like you can see that through like your social media. Like no matter what it is, like I'm always kind of like there for others, and that's something that I've been able to portray. And like people have said that, and I think that's very important, is like being like the real you, through your social media. You don't need to be some fake person, because then like if a coach is recruiting you and you look like this whatever nice, respectful person online, and then they meet you and you're an asshole, like they're gonna drop you because they look at that. So
absolutely. Now, what advice would you give to a young athlete who maybe looks up to you, or I know you're working with high school athletes, youth athletes already? What advice would you give to somebody who wants to either play at the Division I level, or play at the Division II level, or just continue to play at the next level?
I would say my biggest piece of advice, actually there's a couple of parts of it, but it's like work hard. That's something that I have, has gotten me to where I am today. When I was in 6th and 7th grade and everything, I would, go to school, whatever. Like I'm waking up, I'm going to school, I'm coming home, getting my homework done, and then I'm outside in my backyard for an hour. You don't need to have the nicest facilities. Like I don't come from money. I can't get, I couldn't do all this stuff that other kids were doing. And so I was in my backyard, and I was, throwing against the wall. And like I went to the high school, I was shooting around there using like the backboard and stuff. I did everything I could to better myself, and it's not just going to practice. That is something that I see that is so huge with a lot of the girls that like I've coached, or like when I'm running clinics, and they're like, oh, I want to play at Northwestern. I'm like, cool, what are you doing to get there? I go to practice twice a week. So is everyone else. Like, like you have to be able to, miss out on things in order to better yourself, and like put that extra work in, waking up, go to school, get your homework done, and then outside on your own for an hour, or even like 15 minutes of wall ball. That's all you need to do. But like going out, like working out for an hour, and then you go to practice, and then I would come home and I would work out for another 2 hours, 3 hours. Like I was in my backyard in the snow because like that was my outlet, that was my everything. But also like I just wanted so hard to be the best. I was willing to do anything I could, to accomplish that. And that's something that like I think is truly important, is it's not just going to practice. What are you going to do to differ yourself from everyone else? And then also just like, I don't know. It's kind of the same thing I was saying earlier, but like being true to yourself, and like just being a good person, because that honestly like will take you so far in like a lacrosse career or any sports career. Like again, if you're an asshole, like no one's going to want to work with you. I'm not going to want to be your teammate. I'm not going to want to help you out. Coaches aren't even going to want to take you in. Like I have literally, had people who I know getting dropped from like their commitment and stuff, like being dropped by coaches because they ended up being like an asshole, or they were like terrible teammates, and like people would quit the team because of them, and eventually they got the boot because they found out like they're the problem. Like do everything you can to like be the nicest, like sweetest version of you. And then also, like, you got to work hard. You got to grind when no one's watching, because at the end of the day, like, it will truly be so worth it. It'll be so worth it.
Absolutely. I think, how many more minutes do we have left, Roman? All right, then we'll close it out. Ready? No, keep it. Ready? I think we could. I mean, I feel like we got everything. We hit. Is there anything else that you think we missed?
No, just thank you.
No, thank you
so much.
Absolutely. I think this was a really good podcast. I think that a lot of people, I hope, can be inspired by your story, and I'm glad that, you know, I'm in a position to, you know, be close enough to get you on and have you tell your story, because, you know, I think it's important.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you, giving me a chance to share my story and everything. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And actually, we'll talk about this off the camera, but Stay Diesel.